exactly correct. The reality is that religion is in everything we do in this country, but it shouldn't determine who the next president or vice president is. If it matters that much to you, that's fine, but it shouldn't be the issue that decides. Just look at what the future of the country is going to be. Personal attacks on the candidates don't get us anywhere. There's enough to attack on the issues, so why attack our personal people?
There's tons of stuff on all sides.
Hello. On all sides. We can talk about Bill Ayers and Reverend Wright. We can talk about the Keating Five and the World Democratic Society, kind of a bizarre organization that Senator King belonged to for many years. We can talk about the Alaska secessionist movement, where Sarah Palin gave a major inaugural address just a year ago, and a bunch of whack jobs who want to say they spit on the flag. We've seen this associations because people know people on all sides, and it's just bizarre. To Senator McCain's credit, I think he realized this has become a bit of a sticky issue and has backed away, whether his followers will or not. And now we see, of course, the Democrats ready to start maybe slinging a little bit mud on their part. So it's pretty nasty on all sides.
I was just going to ask for one more question.
Yes? What question do you want us to ask?
Someone from the audience.
Okay, we're headed there.
Who's got the question? Yes, sir. You can shout out to the
All right, this past summer, the Supreme Court recently decided that it was easy for some other cases. The Second Amendment is an individual right, and then banning a certain class right there is violating the Constitution. This is for all three groups. I'm just curious on the opinions on the candidates, your personal opinions on what the right to debate and what the Second Amendment means.
Sure. The Supreme Court was completely correct. The idea that we can tell a city when they can and can't carry weapons seems, first off, just not in their jurisdiction at all to do, but secondly, just is in violation of directly the Second Amendment. All that the majority of Democrats are pushing forward, the idea of gun control, is the idea of just controlling the fact that why do we need automatic and semi-automatic weapons available? I mean, really, what are you doing with them? You're not hunting things. I get the personal safety issue, but really, if you shoot someone, why do you have a gun that's semi or automatic? You want to have a pistol, fine, I get it. There's states that allow it. In fact, most of them, except for Wisconsin, don't. Thank you, Wisconsin. But if you do need to have a gun, that's fine. Go through the necessary channels. Get a license, buy it from a licensed dealer, go through the background check, and just do it safely. Because we know that people in the United States can be trusted with weapons. Obviously they can. So we just need to do it in a responsible manner and actually allow the policies that are in place to be used.
All right, I agree with Jake on this. I mean, I think the Supreme Court was definitely right in the issue with overturning this DC gun ban. The DC gun ban was in place for a number of years, and the amount of gun violence that went down, or the amount of gun violence in DC never went down, but actually increased. And this is something that had no effect, banning these guns. And I think something that hopefully a lot of other cities like Chicago and other big cities that ban handguns will notice. But the one thing I'm really worried about is that, in fact, this came down to an idea of whether or not, the individual has a right to have a gun, or if it's like a militia. That was the interpretation, whether it was between a militia having the right to bear arms or individual right to bear arms. You had 4 Supreme Court justices that didn't think that the individuals had the right to bear arms. It's kind of scary. I mean, when you realize how important the Supreme Court is, and how, if you have one other person on there that might have, felt likewise. You could have numerous gun laws, banning hunting, firearms, that sort of stuff, because they determine it's not an individual right, but it's a militia right. So that's something that it's just realized, it makes you realize that, the Supreme Court doesn't come up too often, but when it does, it makes you realize how important it is. And one other thing too, semi-automatic weapons. Everybody pictures, semi-automatic and automatic weapons as these huge things that nobody's ever going to use. But really, the distinction can just be like on one trigger, and one trigger lock, or it can be just on, one change on the gun, and that all of a sudden qualifies as semi-automatic. There are a lot of people that just shoot for sport. It's not just going out and killing things. Obviously, you're not going to shoot Bambi, 20 times and try to make sure she's dead. But you might, the big alchemy out west hunting, you have to take care of that. But people shoot for sport, and it's nothing where, by banning those guns, it's not going to keep them off the streets, and it's not going to have less people killed. People are still going to get killed regardless, because when criminals want to get guns, they'll get them, regardless of what's out there.
Everything that needs to be said has been said. It was lifted properly. Individuals do have the right to bear arms. If you disagree with that, as he said, the proper avenue, I actually disagree in that term of how he said the proper avenue. If you want to change that, you need to change the law. That's the only way the only thing that holds any weight. So I think that until we change the Second Amendment, whether you believe it or not, it's there. So you're gonna have to live with it.
For those who aren't aware, there's the famous comma in the Second Amendment about having gun, and the right to bear arms in the context of militia. But at the time of the founding fathers assumed everybody's going to have a gun at home. The notion bearing arms literally means bearing arms within a more organized militaristic sense, which means people have a right to organize self-defense and everything else like that. That's some argument you rarely hear from constitutional scholars, but the right to have a gun. Are you a hunter? Yeah, so am I. I've a lot of years in Montana. After about 4 or 5 times of doing it for my friends, I thought maybe it was a little crazy. They had generally AK-47 semi-automatic weapons you can purchase. With a little file, it takes me 45 minutes to convert to fully automatic. Nice. A few Kevlar piercing rounds, and there go the police. Okay. Anybody got any other questions here? Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to know where each party stands on immigration, and I'd also like to know where you guys stand on the issue of creating more of a national identity. Like, I understand America's a melting pot, but what about things like establishing a national language and not hiding behind freedom of expression when it comes to flag burning? Whoever wants to start, I
And at the end, I'd like to address that too, because I'm from a different country.
I'll talk a little bit about immigration. Actually, I'm surprised it hasn't, the topic of illegal immigration has not come up amidst this economic crisis, because we have all these illegal immigrants coming in here, and they've actually been handed loans for they've been handed loans to buy houses, which they can't pay back, and now a lot of those loans are in default, and now the American people are expected to pay that. This isn't just a matter of the economy, it's a matter of our national security. We need to secure our borders now. And one of my criticisms of the Bush administration, even though I am a Republican, is we've failed miserably to solve this issue from both parties. No one's come up with a solution. There's an estimated up to 20 million illegals currently residing in the United States. And the impact on that economy is huge, whether it be costs for crime, education, healthcare, taxes. It's estimated that all these things are costing taxpayers possibly over $100 billion a year. And we need to address this country, our problem. And we can't just resort to amnesty, because what does that say to all the people that have been waiting in line to get into our country? These people are violating our sovereignty, and also we're losing any sense of nationalism that we've ever had. So it's definitely an issue that needs to be addressed, and hopefully it can be solved somewhat soon in the next administration.
I'm going to speak just flat out from experience. My mother's from Sierra Leone. My father's from Sierra Leone. I agree in the sense that we need to make sure that everybody's going through the front door and we can account for them. For the simple fact that, let's say, for example, an illegal alien comes here and gets a job. Well, now we can protect them if they're illegal. If they're illegal, we have no way of protecting them from certain employers. Make sure everybody goes through the front door, and so we check you on the way in. But as long as we keep having people run through the back door, one, it creates a national security problem. I mean, and this is hard to imagine, but imagine that we were next door to Iran or Iraq. Would we be doing the same thing we're doing right now? No, we would not.
I just want to say we also should create tougher laws and penalties for businesses that hire illegal immigrants, because basically it's an incentive for illegal immigrants to cross the border. Another thing that I don't think is brought up a lot is that we should improve conditions in Mexico. You don't see illegal immigrants coming from Canada because it's so nice over there. But we should work with the Mexican government to, make not as much incentive for them to go over there. Your second part of your question was about national identity and if we should have English as our primary language. And I guess I'm kind of arrogant, but I think that everyone should be required to speak English. I know people on the left may not agree with me, and might get angry about that and say that I'm intolerant, but I just think that it would help our national identity. So
I'm just going to quickly get in on this. Having a national identity not only disenfranchises individuals in the sense of, hey, I'm in America,